Good morning from Panhandle Outdoors, America's only daily outdoor TV show. Your source for fishing, hunting, and information for folks who enjoy the great outdoors. Now sit back, relax. It's Panhandle Outdoors.
Good morning, folks. Welcome to Panhandle Outdoors. I'm Winston Chester. I'm glad to hear this morning. We appreciate your viewership. Let's take a look at our weather brought to us by Gulf Coast Air Conditioning and Drew Pollard and a hard-working crew up there in Southport taking care of our everyday comfort needs. High today, 70, low 55. Not some Chamber of Commerce weather. Our water temperature at the end of the pier, it did drop 1 degree. It's 65, and we anticipated that. Just got a few Spanish over the weekend, but it's going to start coming in within the next 7 or 10 days. You're going to see a lot of Spanish. So watch that water temperature. It's hanging in there where we want it to hang in there. Our river readings, the Apalachicola at Bluntstown. Like we talked about yesterday, it's up there right at 12 foot. It's got a little bit of a drop to it, and the Apalachicola River at this time of the year is very productive, and we'll show you some pictures Friday. Looking at the Choctawhatchee at Careville, it's a 6.7, but this rain we had yesterday, it's going up. So we're going to have a pretty high, both rivers are going to be pretty high. Our tide chart brought to us by Kent Forest Lawn right here on 23rd Street. Good tide today. We're looking at a low tide at 6:39 and a high tide at 10:23 tonight. The wind, again, in double digits. How about southwest at 16? So be careful out there if you're in a small boat. We always say that, but we always mean it. All right, we got a very special guest, so we're going to take our break and be right back. Welcome back, folks, and our very special guest this morning, a fellow I've known a very long time, Coach Jim Redfern.
Morning.
Coach, glad to have you. Before I allow him to talk, now I got to tell you a quick story. I'm going to try to put a Cliff Notes version on it, how I met this man. Graduated from University of Florida. We're doing a summer, Gail and I were married. We moved to Quincy for the summer, so I had a job at the Department of Education. It was a great job. One of my high school football coaches got me a summer job, but I was looking for a job. And he told me, I love working there. I almost stayed there. Wanted me to stay on full time. Couldn't you imagine if I stayed on there? But anyway, they said, Winston, in first week in August, there were like 3 coaches in my office I worked, the retired coaches said, you got to go to Gainesville and find you a job. There's a coaching clinic there, and there's a bulletin board on the wall, so job openings and all that. So I did whatever they told me. Yes, sir, I'll do that. So I took off and went on a Friday morning to Gainesville, statewide coaching clinic. And I go in there, don't know a soul. And I walk in there, look on the bulletin board, there were job openings. Here's a job opening in Miami. I said, I don't want to go to Miami. Here's a job opening in Fort Lauderdale, Jacksonville. I said, I don't want any of those to myself. I just, Lord, help me find a decent job. And I saw a little over here in the corner, Panama City, Rutherford, Coach Jim Redfern. I said, Panama City now sounds pretty good. And I started walking around until looking, everybody had name tags on. I'm looking on, so I didn't see anybody in the lobby, so a big crowd. So I started going up the stairs at the Florida Student Union, and a group of guys were coming down the stairs, and I noticed this guy had on the name tag, Coach Jim Redfern, Panama City, Rutherford. And I was walking through 2 steps, and I said, hey, Coach. Well, when I said, hey, Coach, everybody in the room, everybody there was a coach. So everybody looked around at me. When Jim looked at me, I stuck my hand out and said, hey, Coach, my name's Winston Chester, and I'm looking for a job. And he stood there, and we basically did an interview asking to tell me about yourself. I told him about myself, and I had a decent resume. Basically, he had the next question after I told him about myself. This was Saturday morning. He said, can you come to work Monday morning? I said, I'll be there. I didn't know anybody in Panama City, but anyway, that's how this man right here to blame for giving me the job at in Panama City, Rutherford, and then was there a couple of years and moved over to Mosley, took me to Mosley with him. So he's been a mentor of mine since I was a young man, and this man is very special to me. So, Jim, welcome to the show, buddy.
Thank you, Winston. That's a great story.
my name's Winston Chester.
I had forgotten all that.
I never will forget it. So, and we still do. We started doing a breakfast club, a coach's breakfast club before school would start in the lunchroom, and Miss Holmes and all them would make us biscuits and everything. But we solved a lot of world's problems in that breakfast club.
Yeah, we did.
Well, we're going to start with pictures, and Jim's a native of Bluntstown.
Bluntstown.
You and Sally Y'all went to FSU.
Went to Florida State. Did 4 years in the service during the Korean War. And as soon as I got out of the service, Sally and I moved to Tallahassee and jumped off. We didn't have, we probably had $15 in our pocket when we got to Tallahassee. But we worked our way through school. She worked part-time, I worked part-time. We worked our way through school, and the rest is history.
I'm telling you. And you got a job down here at Bay High.
I started out at Leon High School.
Okay. Gene Cox.
I worked 1 year with Bill Sexton as a head coach, and I worked 2 years with Gene Cox as head coach. And then Lynn Redster, I put my name on the board at a coaches meeting in Tallahassee. And Lynn Redster called me and wanted me to come to Panama City, and that's how I ended up in Panama City. Worked at Bay High the first 4 or 5 years, and then went to Rutherford.
And there at Rutherford, we just had a dynamic program, and I want to show you my very first year. I got this one picture here. I pulled it out of a yearbook, and this is a very special picture. That's Jim on the left, and that's me my very first year. I was up in the guidance department. I remember that picture because I was trying to get a grade. I wasn't trying to get the grade changed. I was trying to talk to the guidance counselor. He said, "We need this boy." And in the lower right-hand corner, Miss Vera Champlain. Do you remember Miss Vera?
Oh, how could you forget Vera?
What a special lady. That was 2 mentors of mine right there. Both of those just very special people. Vera's passed away now, but she was special, wasn't she?
Yes, she was.
She really was.
That was during the integration problems we were having at that time in the county, and if it hadn't have been for her, we'd have gone underwater.
She just brought everybody together.
Yes, she did.
Everybody loved her. And
she was a wonderful person.
Yeah. And the football teams over a couple of years. Here's the coaching staff. Look at these guys. This is scary looking. But we had some good coaches there. On the top right hand corner, Coach George Cochran ended up being at Mosley for years and all. But we had a good staff there.
We did.
We had those Sunday meetings. We laugh about that. Here he is. That's you in the younger days.
Yeah, you can look at that picture and then look at me, and it'll tell you what old age it is to you.
Okay, that was a very special team, the Rutherford team back in the day. That was some good ball players right there. Talking about good ball players, you sent so many kids off to college then, but I know one of the special ones was Doug Nettles. Tell us about Doug.
We were in spring practice, and right in the middle of practice, somebody came over and told me there was a man here with his son wanted to know if he could play football for the team. I go over to meet him, and it's Doug and his dad. And I asked Doug, I said, "What position do you want to play?" He said, "I'd like to be a running back." And I said, "Well, we got Marvin West and a couple of other pretty fast backs. That would be some. Can you run? You have pretty good speed?" He just looked me in the eye and said, "Coach, I can run with anybody."
I love that.
And he could. He was the first person to run a 4.44 40 in Bay County. And once we got him suited up and got him playing, the opponents, they were very much aware of the fact that he had great speed.
He ended up getting a scholarship to Vanderbilt, was a star at Vanderbilt, drafted by the Baltimore Colts.
Right. Played 5 years as a defensive back for the Baltimore Colts.
Yeah. And recently got inducted in the Vanderbilt Hall of Fame, I thought.
That's correct.
But he's good about coming by to see you when he's back in town.
He was, and the first time he came to see me was right after he graduated. He came by. I was out on the practice field. He came up in a Cadillac. Said, "Coach, look at my car they bought me."
Making it a pros. Oh, we got to take a quick break. We'll be right back. Okay, welcome back. See, here with Coach Jim Redfern, my mentor. He just brought me to Bay County, and you can see y'all can blame me for, we probably wouldn't have Panhandle Outdoors if you hadn't said, "All right, well, can you be to work Monday morning?" I got 48 hours, I'll be there. So anyway, Coach Redfern, we at Rutherford, the Mosley, start building Mosley, and they wanted you to be the head coach and the athletic director at Mosley, so you made the move there and then in 73, 74 that year.
Yeah.
And so
that was a challenge. The biggest, toughest challenge I ever had. Because they built a school, but we had no athletic facilities, no athletic equipment, no practice field. We had to go from zero to scratch. It was a challenge.
Yeah, I know it, and it was some minute. We can't get in all these stories that happened, but we could. It was amazing stories and all. But it got it going, and it was a sandy field. I do remember that. Then I came over the next year. When he called me, he kept harassing me to come over with him. I finally came, but that was a great move too. And here, right here is a picture of some of his. He had so many awards on his wall, and you said. He just brought a couple. Florida athletic coaches, a lot of the players, Coach Ken Brock, Rusty Kelly, and let's see, we got Benny Foyan in there somewhere. And anyway, all these awards and all, he had so many. I told him just bring a couple. We'll take a picture of them. And then when you retired, you had the honor of having a gym at Mosley High School named after you. Jim's Gym, we call it.
Yeah,
that was special.
I had a fishing boat too, a 30-foot. Sea Ray, and I named it Jim's Other Gym.
Yeah.
I think that was my wife probably headed that up for me.
And Sally was an English teacher there for a long time.
Sally was an English teacher. And she and I were married 65 years. We married right out of high school.
Yeah.
And she was a good one.
You lost her a year or two. Let's see what.
She put up with me all those coaching years. I was in coaching, and wherever I decided to go, she was happy to go with me, and it was a wonderful experience.
I know, what a great relationship, and I know sometimes Gail and Sally would ride to the games at Chalk-Hatchie and all, and as coaches' wives, they during the season it was tough on them.
Yep.
They didn't see a lot of us. We put a lot of time in. We really did. But now let's talk get outdoor stuff. You always loved outdoors. Growing up in Calhoun County, you couldn't help but to. So and then you and I hunted together some on a hunting lease over there on Chalk-Hatchie River. But here's a picture right here, just general picture of just some different things and all. But that's a crew right there. Tell us about some of these pictures.
Well, the top left there is Andrew Hickman. He killed his first deer, and he was more than excited. He was some kind of excited.
He played ball at Southern Miss.
Yes, he did. He coached with us at Mosley. He was an outstanding young man. And the center picture there is mostly family. You may recognize Wayne Perdue on the right-hand side. Danny, my son Danny with a beard, and his daughter. It's Perdue's daughter, Kim Perdue,
sure
up in the middle there. My other son, Randy, is in the bottom left there, and Bob Shoemaker, been my hunting buddy for about 30 years now. He and I have traveled all over the country hunting, and he's a great outdoorsman himself.
A great crew and all.
The middle picture there is me when I got lucky and killed a big fine buck.
That was nice one. Was that at least on the Chalk-Hatchie?
That's the Dead River.
Dead River, right.
Yeah, that was, I have his heads mounted and it's at home.
Yeah, this is funny now. You live in, I call it a Southport condos. The condo's right there at the foot of the Bailey Bridge. What's the official name of it?
Marina Bay.
Marina Bay. And he was one of the first ones to move in. I didn't realize, I went by and picked him up because he don't live far from me as the crow flies. And I said, Coach, how long you lived there?
21 years.
I can't believe that condo's been up there 21 years, but you love it there, don't you?
Yeah, I do. It's been a great experience, really. When we first moved in, I immediately, within the first 3 or 4 years, wanted to move back to the country club. And Sally said,
loves golf. He's a good golfer.
Sally said, you can go back to the country club if you want to, but I'm staying here. So we're still there.
Stay there.
It'll grow on you. There are a lot of good friends there, a lot of good folks living there. It's pretty much a retired center. That's all of us old folks get together and we have a good time.
You were telling me you had all that stuff on the wall, and what did Sally tell you one day?
Sally told me one day, she said, this house looks like a coach's office. I'd like for you to move some of this stuff down in the garage and let me have some of my stuff. So we didn't live together for 65 years without me knowing when to say yes, ma'am.
Mediation.
Yes, ma'am was an important word.
That was funny. So that was cool there. All right, now one more hunting picture here. Tell us this real quick. This is this group right here.
This is a couple of friends of mine who live in Mississippi, live a little north of Biloxi, Mississippi, and they have a hunt lease over there. And the young man in the middle with the dog, that dog came from a litter of mine, a trail dog that I had that everybody loved.
Famous
And,
dog.
so he thinks an awful lot of that dog. He insisted on having his dog in the picture with him. But that's just my son and Bob Shoemaker and Andrew Hickman and Wade.
Okay. Now, is this over Mississippi or this over here?
This is Mississippi.
Okay.
We took this. It was about 15 degrees the morning we took that picture.
Okay. All right, we're going to take our final break. We'll be right back with Coach Jim Redfern. Okay, welcome back. Let's take a look at our fishing game time brought to us by Blue Water Outriggers in Port St. Joe. One time today, 10:46 to 12:46. And Jim, tell us one of your favorite stories. Before we get to that, let's get to our final picture here. Let's show your three sons right here. Jim, tell us about them.
Well, on the left is my youngest son, Randy. He is an anesthetist PA in Tallahassee, and in the green shirt there is my middle son, Danny. He lives here in Lynn Haven, and he has recently retired. And then my oldest son standing next to me, Jay, worked for civil service for the Navy in Jacksonville for 30 years, and he is retired. And then, of course, there's the old man standing there. That's real proud of those three guys. They've all turned out to be great.
I know you
fathers.
are. I knew them all going through school, great kids and great young men and all. We're going to run out of time, but we'll ask you some of your favorite stories, and it's got to go back to one of them is a Ram story.
1971, I believe it was. The final game of the year, we're playing Bay High, and the winner of that game would be the Big Five Conference Championship.
Okay.
Now, we used to have a Big Five Conference Championship years ago. Now then, there's so many schools that can't do that anymore. But at any rate, unfortunately, some kids from Bay High captured our Ram and mistreated him a little bit, and that really fired up our football team, and we managed to win that game that night and win the Big Five Conference Championship.
Yeah, and the Big Five was Leon to Pensacola High, and the Ram was the mascot, been with us for years, and they what they do, as a prank, they were going to capture him and hide him, and anyway, the Ram died. And you're talking about getting emotional, those kids, I was there, I've never seen anything like it.
It was, the crowd that night was, the stadium seats 8,400. And there were not enough seats in the stadium for everybody. People were sitting on blankets all around the track. We estimated we must have had 9,500 people at that stadium that night. It was a great night, a great game for football, and it was great for Rutherford High School to win that championship.
That was something special, but the whole week it was so emotional and all. It was something. We put the wreath out there in front of the players were crying, going on the field, and your sister.
My sister lived in St. Joe at the time, and she and her husband came over to watch the game. And she said when they brought the Ram's body out and
the cage,
in the cage, and everybody started crying, and she said they got afraid something bad was going to happen and left and went back to St. Joe.
There were so many more. We've talked, and we'd always have this breakfast club meeting with the coaches and all, and we always told great stories and confided in each other, and we all went through some tough times together. We always supported each other. But one of the things I remember, I was getting ready to do the book, and there was like 8 or 9 coaches at Mosley, and we were getting our cup of coffee before school. And I said, "Hey guys, I think I want to write a book about the history of fishing and all. Y'all give me some advice." And 100% of y'all said what?
Well, I raised my hand and said, "Winston, don't spend too much time and money on this, because I don't think it's going to work. There's not enough people in town to buy your book." Here's what we do.
And I went around the room, and every one of all friends, close friends of mine, my best friends, that said, "Don't do it, don't do it." Then finally you amended and said, "Well, if you do it, make it a paperback."
Yeah, don't spend the money on a hardback, do a paperback.
Don't borrow all that money and all. And of course, it was funny. And every now and then, during the course of time doing the book, I'll tell y'all stories. But when the book came out and did so well, I said, I know who to listen to for my advice now. I'm glad. Jim, we got about a minute left. You're talking about wonderful memories and all. I know personally, that you've helped a lot of young men in your career?
There's some of the old Rutherford guys and occasionally some of the old Mosley guys. They're all old gray-headed guys down, granddads. Randy Green is a preacher in Virginia, and he sends me a sermon every morning on the telephone. And Jimmy Long, who is local, he was a running back for us back in the early, late 60s. He checks in with me pretty regular. And Benny Forehand was a great...
Yeah, he was.
He was a great center for us, and I'll never forget, Alabama came down to see him, especially wanted him, and as a long snapper. And the coach timed him, and he said, "Benny will take you right down and give you a full ride."
Yeah.
And I didn't get to participate in Benny's telling him he wasn't going to do it. He was going to stay home. But that was, Benny would have been a great player if he'd have made it to Alabama.
There's so many stories in all his years and all. And he's been an inspiration to me. Always been my mentor, and I appreciated him hiring me at Rutherford and then bringing me to Mosley, and the rest is history. So, Jim, appreciate your friendship, buddy.
Same here.
All right, we got to get out of here. Thank y'all for watching Panhandle Outdoors. Y'all do something good today for fellow man. Enjoy the great outdoors, and God bless.
Thanks for watching America's only daily outdoor TV show, Panhandle Outdoors with Winston Chester, featuring hunting, fishing, and other activities and information to help you enjoy the great outdoors. Join us next time for Panhandle Outdoors.